leg kick, I totally was brought back to Rocky Horror Picture Show.
It is a bit, isn't it? It's a bit like, 'cause I'm just a sweet transvestite from Transylvania.
I love that movie. Not even low key love that movie. High key love that movie.
I watched it when did I watch it? Oh, there's this girl that I used to go to school with, and her mum let us watch it on a sleepover. And I think I was about 13 or 14 years old, and I was just like, what the actual fuck is this? This is my life now. This is my
Yeah, yeah,
life
same.
now.
And then when I was going to college and I lived downtown Toronto, some of the smaller theaters would show it during Halloween, and it was the full like everybody would dress up,
Wish
everybody would participate, and it was
Listen, if we have that in the UK, I don't know about it. Not at movie theatres
mhm.
or cinemas, as we call them over here, but at the actual theatre, they do, live shows. Excuse me, live shows, and people dress up for those. And I've never been. I would love. Touch me.
Oh,
I wanna be a creature of the night, creature of the night, a creature of the. I still say damn it, Janet. I still say damn it, Janet.
me too. Me too.
Shit. Okay, we need to do a watch party of
Okay.
Rocky Horror.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm good with
We've
that.
come
I
into this
love it.
straight.
I always dressed up as magenta. I
Oh,
love
yeah, right, isn't it? Isn't it?
yeah,
Um,
with I had a wig with the big hair and the
I see you in that. I love that for you. I love that for you. But I do also love the fact that we've come, straight into this episode after meticulously planning what we're about to talk about, and then just
Rocky
gone,
Horror
fuck
set,
it,
yeah.
Rocky Horror.
Welcome to the tangent. We started on a tangent. I think this is a new for us. We started on a tangent.
Yeah, I mean, we were like, okay, let's talk about how do I keep the faith and surrender and taking charge versus taking control. And then we got on, and then we're just like, yeah, Rocky Horror's great.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's that.
We started on a tangent, so this is boding well for us. Boding well for us.
I think it's always going to bode well for us. I just feel like, as we've said in previous episodes, it is no holds barred. It's unscripted, unedited, uncensored, uncut, unfuckwithable, uninhibited, unapologetic. I can't think of any more. Unnecessary at times.
So unnecessary.
So unnecessary. And lots of the other unword, uncouth, uncontrollable. And this is the entire premise of what we're doing, other than world domination, obviously, which is the main aim of the.
Yeah, let's bring it back down to world domination.
Yeah, which it will always come down to ultimately. Unultimately. But yeah, so today we wanted to talk about keeping the faith, and it's not always just about self-belief. Like, both Heidi and I today have had big messages coming in from here and there and everywhere else, separately, individually, and then we've just kind of got together and chewing the cud and shooting the shit. And both were like, oh fuck yeah, that's what's come through for me today. And part of this is keeping the faith, which I personally pull out of the bag when I've got nothing better to say to somebody. I'm like, keep the faith, sis, keep the faith. What I mean when I say keep the faith is maintain your self-belief, and don't start to mistrust your inner knowing and your inner wisdom. Like, continue to trust that inner knowing, that inner wisdom, that inner guidance. Keep your ears open. Let that voice be the loudest within you at all times. Don't let the other motherfuckers come in and set you off course, and everything like that. But the whole keep the faith, it feels like a very shallow thing to say to people, unless you understand the nuance and the depth beneath that. But for you today, what did that mean for you today? Because you felt very strongly about that message.
I did feel very strongly about it. I love those moments when I am with my cards and I am just pulling the cards because I mean, obviously mainly I'm tarot, but I always close off my own readings and readings with clients with an oracle just to kind of tie everything up because I deliver those bigger messages. And I got one that was like, that essentially keep the faith. And for and like because of everything that like this week was like an insane week for me, like a lot fell apart and fell away for me, and it was really hard for me to get through. So having this message at the end of the week, it brought me to tears. I'm not gonna lie, I will be fully honest with that. um and it really made me sit and remember that sometimes it's so hard for us because there's this push and pull within us where we're told to surrender, we're told to release, we're told to let go. Um, but there's this real, very real part of us because of living in the 3D and what this world is, and and survivability and how you need to survive in today's world, where you do worry about income, where you worry about um your meal, the roof over your head, I have kids, putting food on their in their stomachs as well, right? So these are real things that we worry about as humans, especially in today's economy. And so it's been a struggle for me this week, particularly to remember that I'm being held, that I'm being looked after, that I'm being cared for, and spirits there with me, and these very real ego driven worries of the physical realm. And when this message came out, it just reminds me that sometimes it's releasing you're not just releasing like an attachment to outcome, but releasing what you want the ideal situation to be.
This is where you're going, right? And this is where I pick it up, because something that I help people with is the whole idea of detaching from outcome, which is really difficult to put into words when you're saying, you know, visualize this and you've got an expectation and you have to embody the energetics of this expectation, etc., etc., and then be neutral about it, detach from it. And it's like, but how? Because actually, I think a lot of the time, some of this shit that gets kind of like the bullshit that gets fed to us is like, oh, we'll just do this, oh, we'll just do that. And it doesn't take into account the pragmatics of the facts and the practicalities of life and existence, which is, you know, like, okay, listen, I know what's coming to me is coming to me. And I also know that I've had some bumper months and then I'm going to go through lean times, right? So, and I'll be real fucking straight up here. Recently, I've had to sell my car. And that's not because I have not had more clients, better clients, and a better income than I've ever had before. It's because now I'm walking a path where it's new territory for me. So there are things that I haven't encountered before. Before it was like drip, drip, pressure like a drip, drip, drip. It always fucking comes back to that song, isn't it?
Yep.
And it was drip, drip, drip. So it was sustainable to a degree, but it wasn't scalable. Now I've entered into a new territory where it is more kind of like big, then, you know, it's like thick, then thin, thick, thin. And now I've gone through the let's say the ebbs and flows, the peaks and troughs of that. I'm now coming into the next part of the journey, which is about making that, let's say, less kind of tumultuous and turbulent, and leveling it out somewhat, and then blooming from there. But it doesn't mean, you know, if somebody said to me, well, do you know what, like, listen, I've been going through some real shitty shit, I mean, that's putting it mildly, isn't it, right? It recently, and the advice that's been knocked out to me from wonderful human beings, people that I absolutely adore and love beyond love. And they've just said, just pull back, Louise. Just pull back. You don't need to be doing this. You don't need to be doing. And I'm like, I do, because I need to fucking make a living. I need to keep my roof over my head. Like, listen, I'm not about to be in a cardboard box at any time soon. However, that doesn't stop the part of yourself that really is recognizing the grounded version of, no, I have to recognize that I live in a capitalist society where I've got to pay my fucking bills, I've got to put food on the table. I mean, for me, it's food for me and my cats. For you, you got fucking children. Worst case scenario for me, I mean, I would never, but worst case scenario for me, I'd have to rehome my cats to my friends, I mean, even thinking about that, like, you know, you don't have that option with children,
You
and you've
cannot
got
rehome
obviously
children. I
way
know I've
more
tried.
instinct. But people are, it's
I'm
like
kidding. I
people
love my kids.
are, yeah, I mean, like, send them over it. Auntie Lou will sort them out. Auntie Woo will. But it's but it is, it gets to that point where people are like, they're plowing through this bullshit, and they're and listen, like, I'm 100% certain that anybody watching this will have had this experience where people are putting you in a situation where you almost feel culpable for your existence when they say, well, if this is what you want, then this is, you need to be able to afford it. When you're not in a position to be able to afford it, we invest when we feel safe to invest, or when we feel that we're definitely going to get something at
Yeah.
the end of it. And if we don't,
Yeah.
and then nothing's ever a guarantee, and we're all aware of that. But it's about, like, okay, no, I am committed to this, therefore I know I will get a result from this particular person, etc., etc. But you cannot just bullshit people and say you gotta have faith in yourself. I've got so much faith in myself. I have had faith in myself since I was a freaking 4-year-old, hence why I am who I am today. Does that mean everything plays out how I want it to? No. Do I have to make sacrifices? Have I had to do things that are not cool? Yes. Right.
Absolutely.
We
Yes.
all have to. We've all got to do that. And the thing is nobody really talks about the reality of that. So when we're talking about surrender, and keeping the faith, that's why it feels so shallow. It doesn't feel shallow to you when you get that message, because you understand the nuance and the underlying depths of what it really means.
Yeah.
But to say that to another person who is actually really struggling is just, I think,
It's yeah.
it's
Um,
fuckery.
and really when for me, when I have a long, hard think about surrender, because there's this real sorry, there's a couple of that when I went earlier, there's a big, huge crow that just flew across my window.
Because
Crows are
last night was all Morrigan. We were all Morrigan yesterday, wasn't it? Morrigan,
crows are my people. The crows are my
right?
people. They're my little animal sign. So, and then there was a couple of them circling out there. So that's why I'm like, oh, crows. They're
That's
here.
so
They're watching me. That's my sign from the
me and
peaks
Alice
above.
yesterday, we were doing the whole Morrigan thing. Like, I've literally got the card out in, like, over there, like in my room, because that's what we were doing yesterday. Our whole ritual was based on Morrigan and Morgan Le Fay. So continue.
When I really think about surrender, a lot of people use surrender as an excuse to just like, I don't know if excuse is the right word, but they use it in a way that's like, oh, just surrender, give it all up, don't think about it, don't worry about it, just let it go, right? And you detach, and it's like, for me, when I think about surrender, it's like, and then people just sit there and surrender, and then they wait and they wait for something and they wait for something and they wait for something. Just like when we talked about in the manifesting episode, it's like there's not, you can't have just sitting back and wait. You have to take that aligned action. So for me,
Surrendering
when I
isn't
think
saying
about,
fuck it.
yeah, when I think about surrender, it's not so much surrendering and releasing everything into spirit. There's part of it, but it's learning to work within your circumstances. That for me is surrendering, rather than constantly butt heads against your own reality and like, oh my God, but I want this and I want that, and I'm gonna just push and I'm gonna do because I need to change my reality. There's ways for you to change your reality in your living situation and whatever is happening, for sure, 100%. But sometimes you need to surrender to what is happening in your life, that circumstance right then and there, and learn how to work with it
Surrender.
rather than work against it.
Yeah. So yeah, and this is what's happened to me a couple of days ago. This started to come out for me when I was journaling. Um, I am a defiant little bitch, and against myself more than anyone else, right? Hello, hi. Have you
No,
met?
no idea what that feels like.
Right. And so I've been fighting. I fight against myself all the time, and I fight against this and blah blah blah. Um, Surrender for me is more about recognition. um you know what it is, it feels like a big old case of pick your battles. And so I've been fighting my masculine energy for ages, because I recognized a few months back that I operate, for the vast majority of the time, this was my attitude. I was like, right, I recognize in myself that I operate from my masculine energy for the majority of the time, and I'm not embracing my feminine energy. So I started to rebel against the masculine, who, let's be fair, keeps me on track. And then I was like, no, fuck you, masculine energy, because I was, and it literally, and I kid you not, it was literally 2 days ago when this occurred to me, was like, because I see my masculine energy as a disciplinarian and an authority figure who is undermining me, who is questioning what I'm doing, who's saying, well, if you just did it like this, Louise, then maybe you'd be better off than you are now. I see my masculine, it's obviously we have the archetypes within this masculine energy, and whose voice is adopted in my ear. It's my fucking dad. Love him dearly, but I can hear him telling me, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. So I've been fighting and resisting listening to my masculine energy in order
Mhm.
to get things done, because I feel he is a disciplinarian and and somebody who likes to undermine me, blah blah blah, rather than the truth, which is healing my fucking relationship with my masculine, because my masculine is doing is trying to hold me, trying to look
Yeah.
after me, trying to protect me, telling me, oi, do your thing, Lou, because you're always going to do your thing, and know that I'm here for you. If as and when you need me, I'm here. And I'm like,
It's a
the
delicate balance, and
wounds, right?
yes.
So surrender for me is recognizing that, identifying that, accepting that, knowing that teenager Louise has been, inner child Louise is tantruming, when actually, if I really surrender and listen and recognize and identify what the fuck is actually going on and acknowledge that, I don't need to fight anymore, do I? Do I? Because
No.
there is no fight. So that surrender is just saying, do you know what? Finally, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing
Yeah.
you. I'm no longer
That's
construing what it is that you are trying to do for me. And with me, I'm surrendering to the fact that, okay, I'm gonna stop this trauma fucking response of, no, I know better, I'm independent. Blah. This me, teenager fucking what, Rebel Lou. Listen, Rebel Lou's awesome, but like this,
I
um,
love Rebel Lou.
right, Rebel Lou's wicked, but like Tantrum Lou is, I mean, she's fun, but like she's problematic in several ways. Um, so yeah, so there's the recognition of that, and also obviously with the feminine archetypes as well. But to me, that's what surrender boils down to. And then earlier on, before we started recording, we were talking about taking control versus taking charge. And I think
Yeah.
again, there's a big thing around that, which is when you surrender, it actually opens you up to saying, yes, I've taken charge of this, which means that you've surrendered to it not being within your control, but you are taking charge because you've made a decision to do what needs to be done and recognize these things and surrender to these varying aspects. But you're not trying to puppeteer, you're not trying to manipulate, you're not trying to manufacture, you're not trying to instigate things, you're not trying to script anything. You are, that's control at all costs. But taking charge means that
Yeah.
you've made a concerted decision
Well,
to
yeah.
say, this is how it is and I'm cool with it.
Absolutely, because we were talking too earlier that this year, for those of you that don't know or maybe aren't into numerology, this year is an 8 year. Um, and if you talk numerology, it represents abundance and all of this and that. For me, 8 is the strength card in the tarot, right? So if we look at the traditional Rider Waite card, you have this lion roaring, and you have this beautiful, like, young woman trying to close his, like, has her hands, like, trying to calm him down. His tail is between his legs, so he ain't having a good time. And then whenever time I look at that card, it just reminds me of the strength it takes to surrender,
Mhm.
because taking control is easy. Controlling a situation, that's our ego, and we are born for that kind of thing. When I say we were born for it, it's like that we have to control the situation, we have to control the outcome, we have to control what happens in our day, our kids' lives, we have to control what happens in our friends' lives, and we have to control the outcome, we have to control what happens at work, right? We are built, our ego is built for control because it keeps us safe. And the amount of strength it takes to say, I'm going to not do that anymore,
I'm going to show
is
you.
incredible.
So this is my favorite deck, which is Tarot Cats by Anna Juan, right?
Yeah.
Because obviously, I'm learning Spanish. So what better way than via the tarot? But strength, in this is my favorite card in this deck. No, that's
Yeah.
probably a lie. They're all my favorite cards. But look at this beautiful representation of strength,
Oh, I love that.
right? And the
I
way
love
that
that.
cat's tail is wrapped around the lion's mouth, to me represents, give it a sec. This is inner. This isn't, I am strong. This is
Yeah.
from within, right? And
I
when we
love
were
it.
talking before we started recording about the idea of strength, it's strength and courage. I mean, could easily be said, oh, they're the same thing. I mean, for me, they're not.
Yeah.
Strength is just maybe powering through, rah, I'm strong. Courage is
Courage
fearlessness.
is, it
Fearlessness
comes
is
from the
not
heart.
the Yeah,
Courage comes from the heart.
fearlessness is not the absence of fear. It is courage in the face of fear.
So
Um,
here's the strength card from my favorite deck.
oh, that's gorge.
And I
Oh,
love it because it's like she's befriending that wild
yeah.
part of her.
I just love this cat. Look at that. That's me, isn't it? Sitting on you, like, shut up.
That's me sitting on you like, shut up, it's my turn. Right? This is not that, obviously this isn't the traditional rider weight, but I still really love this card because she's leaning into it, right?
Mm.
Right? She's leaning into it and she's trusting it.
There's
She's trusting that
comfort.
side of
There's
herself.
comfort. There's
Yeah.
also fear, though, isn't there? This is the thing that I find fascinating. Not just with tarot, but like if we really like do this kind of like the shadow work around this stuff, with the things that people tend to um be, I don't want to say ignorant because I don't believe that that's the case, but don't necessarily pick up on immediately, is the nuance behind it. It's like, listen, here's a big old freaking wolf and we've got this bird and she's leaning into it, and it's like, oh, that's lovely, but the fear is there, which is like, right, and now I've got to trust you. I've got to trust that you are gonna
Right?
um facilitate this necessity that I'm personally experiencing now. I'm having to lean into so much freaking trust in this moment, because yeah, you're a big bad wolf and you can protect me, but you might as well, you could easily bite my fucking head off. And so I now have to use my own inner wisdom and inner knowing to determine whether or not this is correct or not. Like,
Yeah.
can I trust you? Should I trust you? Am I allowed to do that? And this is when we talk about control and taking charge. This is something like, I'm in control. Even when I'm out of control, I'm in control, right? And this is probably, if
Yeah.
anybody, and I always say this, like, if anyone that knows me in my IRL life, like my mates, my family, they're never going to watch this ever, because they've already had enough of me, so that's fine. So they're already aware of the fact that this is the thing for me. It's like, I really do have trouble trusting. I really struggle with letting somebody else wrap their arms around me and say it'll be all right, because I'm like, no, it's fine. I'm in control. I'm in control. And even when I'm out of control, I'm in control. Like, I know what I'm doing. Even when I'm off my fucking nut, I know exactly what I'm fucking doing. In that moment, I know what I'm doing. Like, and so the self-trust that I have is mammoth when I'm outside of self. But when I'm in myself and when I'm with myself, and all I'm left with is me, that's when the raw nakedness of, do I really trust myself, kind of comes
Yep.
into play. And
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 that's why,
and that's a
like,
beautiful questioning. And
yeah.
that's the
When I read, that's one of the ways I read that card too, is like, do you have the strength to be vulnerable with yourself?
yeah.
It's easy to be vulnerable with somebody else.
See,
And
Lizzie, I'm
yes,
the
to
opposite.
point, see, it's easy to be vulnerable with somebody else that you've known for a while and you've trusted, right? Like,
No.
if I came
I,
on here and I had a
sorry, I
problem and I
don't
come
agree with
on,
you, but tell me what you think, and I'm going to totally disagree with you.
and
Fun.
yeah, well, here we go, our first fight. um, like if I came on here and I was, upset about something and I was crying and I was bawling, it would be easy for me to come on and cry and bawl with you and have you hold that space for me. It's easy to have you hold that space for me.
Mhm.
For me, and this is like my personal thing, for me, it's harder for me to hold that space for myself because I'm constantly being in my head being like, all right, come on, that's enough, buck up, time to go, pull your bootstraps up, you got kids to look after, you got a house to clean, you got a job business to run, you got this to do, you can't do that, you gotta go. So it's harder sometimes for us in those times to
Yeah.
hold the space for ourselves, and it takes a lot of strength and it takes a lot of surrender to be able to say, I need to hold the space for myself right now.
Yeah, what you're saying, I agree and I disagree.
Mhm.
We'll figure that out as I talk about it. Um, when I'm vulnerable with my friends, like you and all of my, you know, I always say like I don't have friends. I have just everyone's my best friend. Like all of my actual friends are my best friends. Like there's no fucking um hierarchy there. Um, I will be vulnerable to a degree. Um, I feel like I make sure that I go as deep as I feel that that person can handle from me, and then no further, because there's a point when I feel like right, I have to stop with somebody else. I'm gonna use a weird analogy in a minute as well, but when I'm on my own, that's when I'm like I can just fucking let loose, and I am frightened of it. I'm frightened of where it might go. I'm frightened of opening the floodgates, in case there is a point of no return. Like if I go through this door, am I ever gonna, and the door shuts? No, I live here
Mhm.
now. Am I ever gonna be able
Mhm.
to get back to where I once was? Do you know what I mean? And the analogy that I always sort of what I liken it to, I suppose, is when people say like, "Oh, I like going to the gym or I like going to workout classes with other people because it makes me feel that I have to do, I have to work hard." I go to things with other people and I think I can't be fucking arsed with this. Whereas if I'm on my own in my front room doing my DVD,
You want to know?
I'm puking. I'm puking. I'm screaming at the telly because I'm on my own. That means I don't have to worry about anyone else in that moment. I can just be. And I have meltdowns. Like, well, no, to be fair, in the last year or so, I've been a bit like, the old adage, misery loves company. And I I don't necessarily cry a lot on my own, or like I open up to myself on my own. I've got designated time. I mean, listen, for the people that are watching this, if you don't know what's going on with me, I'm not going to fucking talk about it, but there's some stuff, right? And I will talk about it in the future, but not right now. And so I, I have my what I call my designated grief times, right? Where I know I can just sit and I can be and I'm allowed to fucking wallow as much as I damn well please. And ain't no one gonna tell me that pull your fucking socks up. No, fuck you. I'm here, bollocks. This is where I need to be right now in order to feel safe in how I feel. I'm not trying to get over anything. I'm not trying to heal from anything. I am just being, right? Let me fucking be, fuck off. And I love being in those moments alone in that solitude. But then when I'm in that solitude at times, it make it like my soul is crying out for somebody to put their arms around me. But when I am with other people, I feel like I can't go to the places that I can go to when I'm on my own. So
Mm.
as much as we are saying the same thing, it's like we're coming at it from a slightly different
Yeah, no, I can understand exactly what you're saying. The
angle.
reason I'm grinning over here like a Cheshire cat is that, so for those of you, this is called the Aquarius tangent because we're both Aquarians. That's our sun sign. Hi, we're both Aquarians.
We both love a tangent.
We both love a tangent. We're both also Cancer risings. Here's where in the big three, we differ though. I'm a Leo moon, she's a Libra moon. So as I'm sitting here smiling, I'm knowing where her placement is and going, here's the difference and how we come across because your moon's linked to your emotions, how her emotions come out in the way of Libra and balance. And, I'm only going to take people as far as they go, as they can go because of that balance of Libra. Where my Leo moon is like, fuck, we dramatic, we big, and I'm
Yeah, right.
laying
Yeah,
it on
you
the
fucking
table. Like,
Leos. Mate, don't even get me started on Leos. Yeah,
we're
it's
not
just
starting on Leos. I'm just saying that
no,
as
I
you're
get
talking, I'm seeing those connections in my. in my mind, right? So I'm like, oh, okay, I can see where you're coming at from this side, knowing your moon placement, knowing my moon placement, and seeing the differences of how we deal with these things
You
when
know
it comes
why,
to
right?
surrender.
This is what's interesting as well, is like from a personal standpoint, when people say to me like things like you've got no fear in just expressing yourself, have you, Louise? Or you know, you really don't you know, when you open up, you really open up. And I'm like, yeah, I sure do. And I think you ain't even met 50 fucking percent of me. Like I am the freaking Mariana Trench and you're a puddle of fucking shallow piss as far as I'm concerned, like in these moments. But I just feel like I can't show you, I can't show anyone that. There's only one person I can show that to, and that's me. And even I don't want to fucking see it. So it's always about how, you know, I'm all for pushing boundaries and things like that. And I suppose this is where my vulnerability comes into play, is to I can't recall the last time I had an actual real meltdown in front of anyone, like what we're calling now in the UK, because sorry, this is just my a tangent time again. So the
Love
whole
it. Yeah.
the cost of living crisis, right? So you know, like in Britain, we like to give everything a nickname, right? We're
Yep.
all just like, oh, I don't know. So the cost of living crisis, right? Someone said online, oh yeah, cause he lives. And someone else is like, what do you mean cause he lives? And it's like cost of living crisis, cause he lives. So now we're calling mental breakdowns menti bees. Don't.
It sounds like it needs
Like,
to be a Spice
don't.
Girl.
It's so bad. Like, it's so, because the British fucking sense of humor is just like, we're all fucked. We all want to fucking literally jump off the nearest high rise.
Yep.
So let's just laugh about it and give it a hilarious nickname while we all descend into madness together.
Yep.
But that's all
All
right.
right,
Like,
Menti bees. That's what we're
yeah,
calling it
mentee
now.
bee.
Got it.
I literally said it to somebody else. I was like, don't even get me started. I had a proper mentee bee earlier. And we just laughed. And I was like, but I was crying when I messaged this person. I'm in a state of trauma, crying my eyes out, but also going, yeah, in the midst of a mentee bee, lol. Like that's the thing. This is the fucking problem. Is like, so is that I
Because we
really
downplay this stuff because society.
I want to be able to express to you that I am actually literally having a fucking meltdown. I think that I'm on the brink of burnout and I literally cannot see the point in getting out of bed tomorrow. But I'm going, having a mentee bee, lol. Right? So therein lies the fucking, it's a bit jarring, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so it's like when we talk about this stuff, I mean, certainly, I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for everyone, can I? Obviously, well, I certainly can because I'm fucking Aquarian, so I can speak for all y'alls. Um, People come and you know, a lot of my friends, I'm the shoulder, I'm the shoulder, and that's cool. But I'm the shoulder, so like, what shoulder do I fucking cry on then? Is my like over it, and
Mine. Mine.
that's
Hi.
hard.
Mine.
But I honestly, I've never ever, I can't recall when the last time I went beyond what I think is
Hmm.
not acceptable, because I'll always push the boundaries of what I deem acceptable, but like really just went into it because I don't think I know anyone who could fucking handle it, but I've never given anyone the opportunity to find out, because I'm protecting, even though I'm fucked, I'm still protecting you against me at this point. So what I'm doing is I'm removing your opportunity to be the best friend to me. I'm removing your opportunity. I'm doing you a disservice by denying you the opportunity to show up for me, because I'm frightened that if I really, really, really fucking show you and tell you how I feel right now, that you're gonna be like, "Oh fucking hell, wow, mentee be, bye," you know, and then I'll be abandoned. You
And
know?
I'm the opposite, where it's I will self-abandon rather
Oh, we
rather
self-abandon.
than sit
That is
alone.
people
Well,
pleasing.
then sit alone with it. I will be like, if there's nobody there, I'll be like, just shove it down.
Yeah,
You don't get down
yeah.
there. Get on with your day, girl. Fucking you know better. You can do this.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I do it as well. I'm like, right, that's enough
But
now.
if
And then
someone
I do
were
it.
to be like, "Are you okay, Heidi? Are you okay?" Then I'll be like,
Don't
right? Like
somebody
you've been.
right. The other day, this one of my old friends I've been speaking to recently, he said to me, he said, "Oh mate, that sounds like a lot. Well, just know if I was there, I'd give you a big hug." And I was like, no! I just started going on a message because I was like, don't even say the word hug. Because when I was at work, when I was employed, I remember I had a real fucking, I mean, several bad days, because obviously when you're employed, lots of bad days. And
Mhm.
somebody just needs to go, just literally, just, you're right. It's like, yeah, you can't, just go away.
Yeah,
Don't.
like you and my girl Clara. Look at me, I'm name dropping now. Claire, if you're watching
Hey,
this, hey
Clara, we
babe,
haven't
hey
met yet,
babe.
but when we do, busy bees.
um, how when I just walked through what I walked through earlier, almost a year ago, and when I went through what I went through in May, like and April of last year, the amount like I cried on the phone to you and her, like the both of you. I don't know. I don't know if I would have made it through without the both of you because it was just the spot I was in, and that really that was the biggest learning experience when it came to working with your experience, working with your circumstances and surrendering because I literally had no control in what was happening in my life at that moment. Everything was
But,
pulled, the
but, but,
rug was
but, but,
pulled
but,
out
but,
from
but,
under
but,
me.
but you took charge by
Yes.
opening up to the right people at the right time. So that's taking
Yes.
charge versus trying to maintain control.
Yeah. Um, and it was huge. Like it was huge. And even now, like I'm looking at in a couple of weeks, it'll be March break here. The girls will be gone for the entire week. And so I'm going to be in this apartment alone. It's going to be the first time I have been alone for that long in like 10 years. And I'm like, Clara, bless her heart, has invited me to spend it with her. Will I? We're not sure yet. We're working on the logistics, but it's like I'm trying to wrap my head around like, do I go or do I stay and face this because I haven't been alone for that amount of time?
How about you do
It's so
both?
tough.
How about you do both? How about you
So,
compromise with yourself and you say, you know that you would treasure some time in your own company, and you know it would be a nurturing and healing experience for you, but you feel fearful of what's going to happen when you're left alone, right? Because you
yeah,
worry that you are going to feel lonely as opposed to alone, which are two separate things, as you well know.
yeah,
You've got me at the end of frickin' Zoom as well, right? But I think that, yeah, to say like, yes, I will come and spend, perhaps if you've got 2 weeks, for example, you have 3 days Heidi, just Heidi, and then the middle section Clara times, right? Frickin' sweet, and then the end of it, so you've got, yeah, what we call a
yeah. We're looking at the logistics of it because it's only a week, and then it's like if I were to go down there and stay with her and then come back, I'd have to go back down to pick up the girls, and then I would have to go back down the weekend after because we
blah
have
blah
tickets.
blah, but like that's
Yeah, we've got tickets to
but
go
like
see. We're going to see Dominic Monaghan and Billy Boyd.
you're alienating half of our fucking audience here,
I'm
Heidi.
sorry.
You are not sorry.
No, I'm not. Any chance I get to bring up
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings, I will bring up Lord of the Rings.
So, but going back to what you were saying, like, yeah, but it's understandable, and I'm sure like loads of people can relate to this wanting peace and separation, but also needing connection and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
like when,
yeah. So and that's what I'm learning to surrender into
mm,
right now is after years and years and years of not being alone is, and by alone, lonely, right? Alone in my living situation, having that amount of time to sit with myself.
it's a book called Solitude and Loneliness. I just needed to look on my bookshelf. Um, which is a Buddhist view on
Yes.
solitude and loneliness, and it is
Do that
beautiful
now.
because it really, I think that actually you
I'm
should
writing it down because by the time we
write
finish,
it
we'll
down,
forget.
write it down, write that shit down, because solitude and loneliness are separate.
Yeah.
Being
Oh
alone
yeah, for
versus
sure.
being lonely are separate. And I mean, my biggest example of this is that in so many relationships, I have been lying in a bed next to somebody and I've never felt more lonely than I've felt with that person snoring next to me. And I'm like,
I I can
and I've
I,
never
I
felt like it. And
not
I've
sympathize, I can empathize. I've been there too.
but I've never felt like it lying in bed alone. Never, not once, because there is a difference between feeling lonely and alone. And I
Mhm.
love being alone, but now I've overindulged in being alone that I'm now trying to work very hard on allowing people in again.
Yep.
It's
And see, it's the opposite
pain.
because of being married, because of having kids, it's I haven't been alone in so long, right? And even when I would go out, it would be to visit friends or something like that. So like I haven't been alone like this in so long that it's like it's a new skill I have to learn. And so it's one of those, and that's when we talk about surrendering to your circumstances, this is exactly it. This is my circumstance that I have to lean into.
Yeah.
And it's, do I take that learning opportunity away from me? Also, I'm working on building a whole course. I can use that week kid free to focus on my work.
But
And it's
then if
like, so
you
there's
say, yeah, but I'm not
opportunity.
being rude. Sorry to, I'm not even sorry. Um,
You know,
lie. If you try and make excuses for it, like, oh well, I could use this week for this, and I could use that. This is just the female fucking conditioning, which is when you're left to your own devices and you have moments of solitude, and sanctuary, to have white space in your diary, you have to fill it in order to feel useful. In order to say, well, I've been productive. You are allowed to just float about and do
I know you're not
fuck
wrong, but I'm
all,
itching to
right?
have the time to do this too.
It's hard because we do. I've got a friend actually who is, and he's a wonderful, wonderful human being, and he has this thing where he always says to me, "Oh, good that you're busy," and I'm like, I literally disagree. Like, I would really love to not be. I don't want to be like, no. Anyway, that's a different conversation. But so that's the thing. And then he's like, oh, he always has to have something to look forward to, and he has to fill his time. He can't spend time alone. And I'm like, you don't want to be alone with your existential dread. That's your problem. And he's like, well,
Yep.
why do you love being alone with your existential dread, Louise? And I'm like, because that's my old fucking friend. The existential dread and me are like best friends forever, which I'm grateful for. But then in turn, my shove is against going out with kind of like shallow um uh experiences, because I just think I'd rather be sitting at home with my existential dread, because we're old souls, right? So it's finding the fucking harmony between the two. It's knowing, like, me, I retreat into my solitude a lot, and then I'll be like, actually, should we have a chat like today, right? When I feel like
Yeah.
communicative. But it's because I've allowed myself to retreat that I feel then capable of communicating. And the days where I know I have to fucking communicate all the time, and the days that I want to escape that and retreat, the days where I'm just made to be alone are the days that I want to communicate. So I don't know whether I'm just being a fucking contrarian, probably, but it's allowing yourself the space for both. And I think definitely there's something there's something fundamentally, I think, necessary for all of us about spending time alone and working through the first hour or so where you feel restless, what most people call bored. And it isn't boredom, it's restlessness. What do I do? What do I do with myself? What shall I do? What shall I do? Don't fucking pander to that what shall I do voice. Sit, be, and breath work, and just be like, okay, like today I was like, I don't know, candles. I'm just gonna light some candles. And immediately I was like, this is nice. And then I sat here on my sofa staring at the ceiling. I've got this where I've done my nails. I've got this little which one is it? One of them. I might have picked it off now, but I've got like a little weird little lump on one of these nails, and I was like, fucking ages. And then I was like, what am I doing? And I suddenly caught myself, and I don't even know how long I was sitting there, just doing a little, like fidget spinner. Like, do you know what I mean? I was in a lovely. I don't even know where I went. It was gorgeous, and then I was like journaling like a mad woman. And then it's like, I don't need entertainment. I don't need escape. I don't need these things. What I need to do is just be. Like, we're so scared of being on our own that we run away and we escape to other people. Or for me, it's the opposite. Feel so shit around other people that I escape to my solitude. Finding
Opposites attract, and that's why we're here.
Yeah, exactly that. And then figuring out, taking charge of it, not trying to keep control over it, but taking charge over it, to recognize it, acknowledge it, and then identify it when it's happening, and then saying to yourself, okay, what do I need today? What am I saying that I'm fucking talking shit at myself?
Yeah.
And actually this, and that is what I think that it means by saying, like, keep the faith. Listen to yourself, listen to those that care about you, take notice, pay attention, and then do what's necessary. There are so many simple ways that you can start doing that don't feel like a to-do list.
Yeah. I mean, I'm treasuring my Sunday mornings right now because Saturday night, so I don't even have to get out of bed. Saturday night, I put out the decks and my journal that I'm going to use on my bedside table. And I go to sleep, and then I wake up in the morning, and all I do is just get into my cards, get into my journals, and I just stay there for 2 hours. And I'm just like, this is my time, and it's sacred to me.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
and I'm
sanctuary.
really, really enjoying that time.
That is sanctuary.
Hmm.
I've got a tendency towards escapism, as we all know. Like, I've not made any bones about that at all. So I make sure that I have to reroute around that. I'm like, the temptation to go into escapism is just straight on it's on the fucking radar before anything else. And I have to make a conscious decision to sidestep that and do something different, because it takes 2 seconds to put my attention elsewhere. And so the only part of myself that requires taking charge of is saying, what's going to benefit you more today, Louise? Press play on this or press play on that. Pick up the pen or press play on fucking some bullshit you were watching last night with
And
Mark.
you know what? Escapism can serve you too. Sometimes that's the best way to surrender, because
Yeah,
sometimes you just
yeah.
need to turn your brain off. Sometimes you just need to turn your brain off, right? And that's what this really, when it comes down to taking charge, when it comes down to surrender, when it comes down to keeping the faith, it's keeping the faith in yourself and knowing and getting to know yourself and knowing what you need in that moment. Because
Yeah.
maybe in that moment you need to turn your brain off and you need to escape
And
into
it's
whatever TV
not
show or movie or whatever. Or sometimes
this.
you do need to work through things and you need to pick up the pen and you need to journal, but it's not about what is right and what is wrong and what you should be doing. It's what is serving you.
And it's potentially more about our patterns and behaviors, habits, addictions, even, or just like the easy route all the time. Like,
Mhm.
listen, you know me, I've always been, and again, I'm going to talk about my mate Si, who is the snobbiest person you ever meet when it comes to music and cinema. Well, I haven't watched this film because it's just bollocks, and I'm not, fuck off. I love it, right? And I've always maintained my position, which is, I am allowed to take my brain out and enjoy something for what it is, as long as I remember to pop my brain back
100%.
in afterwards.
100%.
I don't
100%.
have to. I'm not. Listen, entertainment for me takes varying forms, right? I'm eclectic. So music, it can be shallow bullshit as long as I can dance to it, babes. So I'm twerking my tits off, right? But equally, I'm into some well deep stuff as well. Oh, it's meaningful, rah, rah, rah. I'm not a snob. I used to be, but he's so snobby about it. But my attitude has always been, as long as you're aware when you take your brain out and you remember to pop it back in again, there's nothing wrong
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
having that
My
state.
ex used to be like, "Oh, you're a film student. Oh, you're a film student. Here you are watching Fast and the Furious." That doesn't make sense. And
Oh,
it's like, but I know what Fast and the Furious is. I know that I'm putting it in because I'm taking my brain out and I want to see big explosions and car chases and some really bad acting.
I that
And
shit.
that's what I need right now.
Right, I'm going to tell
I
you
don't
about
need art house films all the
my
time.
friend Marianne, who is the most eclectic, most academically eclectic woman that you will ever meet. You always want her on your quiz team, right? She is incredible. She is one of those. I've got a book called what's it called? Oh, it's called How to Do Anything in High Heels. I mean, misogynistic, but you know, it's like, oh my god, I don't need that book because I just call Marianne. So she has, you know, she's got physics qualification, but she identifies as Catholic. I mean, I'm like, I'm not even going to stop asking you how you reconcile whatever. She could, I mean, when I first met her when I was 17, so obviously we're going back a long, long time, she knew how to build a brand new car battery, and she was siphoning petrol off her neighbours, doing this, and this, but also she can paint the most beautiful portrait of a human being that you've ever fucking seen. This woman is beyond. And I just always think that when you have somebody that embraces their ability to be everything that they are, it's it's beautiful. However, she admitted to me the other night, I just love the Transformers films. And I was like, and I went like, I had to do the non-judgmental. I was like, all right. And I was thinking, you fucking what? Right? And she's like, listen, she's like, I don't know why I love them, but I love him. And then her ex, right? She's like, right, yeah, you can come round and you come how we say, you come cotch with me, but I'm watching my Transformers. And this boy's just like, Marianne, I don't understand. Why the fuck? Like you of all people, you cultured, beautiful, brilliant, wonderful woman. And she's like, I just fucking like him. And he's like, okay. Just let her have her Transformers, man. Just let her have her.
Let the woman have her Transformers, okay?
Right, and I just think,
This
so
episode is
then,
brought
so
to you
then,
by
so this is
Fast
where
and the Furious and Transformers. Let us have our guilty
this
pleasure.
this is where it's problematic for me, is when people cast judgment on that. Like, listen, I fucking love loads of old I love oh, okay, I love Hello Kitty. A bit me, yeah, and what? Um, like you, I'm not defined by my love of random shite. Oh no, I probably am defined by my love of lots of different
I
random
was just going to
shite.
say, do we need to talk about pressure like a drip, drip, drip again?
Oh, pressure like a drip, 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 and it won't let go. Oh. The fact that I'm going to sit and do my nails, oh, does that make me a basic bitch? No, fuck off. Like, you know, the fact that my microphone is pink and spangly and looks like a bit like a sex toy. No, I just feel like people need to stop. Like, as soon as you, do you know what it is? That, I mean, listen, we've done a thing on this. It's just the toxicity of other people when they're so fucking shallow that they pigeonhole you, and they're like, oh, okay, so that's the one thing you're all about, so they can't see the fucking breadth and the depth of the other stuff. And it's like, Jesus Christ, this woman like Marianne, for example, uses her brain day in day out. Her job is fucking hard. What she does is incredibly significant. She's a smart cookie. She's got multiple extracurricular you know, hobbies and responsibilities. I mean, you can have the most in-depth conversation with her. I mean, she beggars belief. She's incredible. She's a fucking social chameleon. She can be common as muck and hoi polloi. And then she just sometimes she wants to sit down and say, let me watch my Transformers. So what's up with that? What's wrong with that?
Nothing. And again, it's back in full circle.
I don't
It's
even know where
surrendering
we're
to what
going
you
with
need in
this.
that moment.
I've got quite passionate
It's,
about it.
yeah,
I
it's
watch
what you
my
need in that moment.
Transformers.
But I have to wrap this up because I gotta hop in the car. I have an appointment to get to.
I've got to do my nails.
So, with that, surrender to what you need in the moment. Release control.
Relinquish.
Relinquish control. Let spirit in, but that doesn't mean you need to sit back and do nothing. It means that you're learning to work within the circumstances and you're learning how to best serve yourself. Get rid of the word should. I should do this, and ask, how can I serve myself?
Yeah.
Let me know. Let us know in the comments below if you love Transformers. Let us know if you love Fast and the Furious. Let us know what like your weird guilty pleasure is that people will look at you and go, what?
Yeah, let's
What?
do that. Final thoughts from me. Take charge by acknowledging, identifying, that accepting the parts of yourself that you feel the necessity to control. You take charge by just allowing them to exist and to be. None of this shit's mutually exclusive. And definitely embrace all of your full-on fucking eclectic weirdo, because if you don't, and if you can't sit and have an argument with your best mate about, oh, you think this and I think this, rah rah rah, then what the fuck are you playing at? Like, surely it is your duty, your responsibility to yourself, as well as to those who love you and accept you and appreciate you for who you are, to be able to have these conversations out loud. Like, come join us.
Yeah.
Be part of this. And yeah, definitely comment below. Like, share, fucking all that bollocks.
Like, share, subscribe, bring other people into the tangent.
Yes. Well, unless we don't want them, and then, but it's fine. Whatever. Bring them in and we'll decide. If their name's not on the list, they ain't getting in.
Or maybe they are, because we're just going to take everybody who's not on the list and let the listers find something else.
And chuck them. More for life. Okay,
bye. All right, with that, we've gone in so many tangents, but I think it was a good talk today. So,
yes. Lots of love. End recording now. Oh no, hang on, I'm trying to end the meeting. I don't want to do that. And record it. Oh no, wait, there's a button up top. All right, bye. I love you. Stop recording.